Hello and welcome to another video on program enrollment. In this one, we're going to look at the process overview, the timeline that relates to activities within program enrollment. Okay, so I've set this up in a spreadsheet and we're going to run left to right. On the top here, we've got the sort of the time period actions will be happening, what the action is, where it will be happening or what it will be doing, who will be running it, and sort of relevant tasks or subtasks underneath it. Okay. So the first one we've got here is create or update the program of study records. So this is going to be happening November to September. Okay, so our normal curriculum update period. And it's going to be happening in the academic item registry, or the AIR. So that's where we build and create our records. And it's going to be school-based admin that are going to be doing this, supported by central curriculum. And they're going to be creating and updating the program of study records. Okay, so that's kind of almost a year-round thing. Then we've got pre-term start, sort of August, September time. We're going to create the APT records for new students. And that's going to be done through APT request process. This is a scheduled process that IS will be running. It's not something that administrative staff will be doing, but just to understand, that's the kind of time it's going to be created. Once the students have matriculated or into August, that's when the APTs will be created. Then we'll activate the planning node. So that's the planning node is the stage in their program of study which students can plan for in self-service. Now this will probably be part of the same process run, but it may not be for some students, returning students possibly. And again, that's done through APT request process, and it will be a scheduled process run by IS. Okay, let's move it along. So here we are. Okay, and then we're going to pre-term start still. We're going to enroll students on their compulsory courses that are in their APT, and that's done through the process called APT enrollment. And again, this will be managed by IS. Then coming into the start of term, going and possibly after the start of term, late adjustments to the APT as a result of curriculum changes. So once you've got your APT record, if somebody decides to and the planning node is activated, once somebody's making a change to the AIR, which as you know means the program of study, those changes don't automatically go into a student's APT once the planning node has been activated. So let's say I've got a student and they're starting in their qualifying year. I've created their APT, I've created their planning node, activated their planning node for that stage, that qualifying year. If I want to make a change to the program of study for that stage, I'm now going to have to run a different process to update it, and that's going to be using APT administrative roster. And this is something that administrative staff can do, and all they're really going to be able to do in that is add courses, remove courses, substitute courses, okay, at that stage. If you make a change to the program of study before the planning node in the stage that you've amended has been activated, that's fine. The changes will automatically go into a student's APT. It's only after that planning node has been activated that we have a problem. Okay, so start of autumn semester, student enrolls on courses using PE self-service, and they'll go on and they'll enroll and they'll drop courses ad infinitum. So let's move along a bit here. This is where we are. Start of autumn semester, add enrolments to drop enrolments from APT. So students are making their course enrolments. Now, once they actually enroll on a course, that doesn't immediately go into their APT. We need to bring that information in because essentially course enrolments, class enrolments, that's part of student records. APT, part of PEIM. They're not joined together. So we need to run the APT sync process to bring those enrolments into the student's APT and show them in there. And that will be probably a scheduled overnight process that will be managed by IS. Okay, so that's got our students, they've done self-service, we've got the enrolments, we've got the APT. And then really autumn spring semester is going to be managing the APT, doing particular tasks, and these are mainly going to be if we've got students making suspensions where we need to adjust their timelines. That will be done in individual APTs by staff. And if a student has changed their plan, they've transferred from one plan to another, we need to create a new APT and activate their planning node. And again, that will be an administrative staff task. Then we move into the spring semester. So students who are continuing into a next stage in the following year, we need to activate their planning node for that next year. And that's done using the APT request process. And again, that will be a scheduled process managed by IS. So we've activated that, and then students go in and they make their choices for the next year. Okay, so they've made their choices. And then at the end of the spring semester, we've got something called IAM result posting. So if you're familiar with activity management, IAM is the individual activity manager record for a student. This is where we record their assessment marks and calculate their overall course marks. And there's a process where we run there. Where we've calculated the overall course mark, we run this IAM result posting process. And that basically posts marks and result types from the IAM record into the corresponding student APT record, because it will then be picked up and used by progression calculations. Okay, so that will run, and then the progression rule will run right at the end of spring semester, well, sort of June time, pre-exam board, that will calculate students' outcome, and it will update their APT. It will update their stage record to say whether they've satisfied requirements or not. And then that will be there, so we can see and use that or consider that in terms of progression and exam board work. Okay, so that's pretty much it in terms of PE. And I guess what you'll see here is that most of the tasks that happen are managed by their processes that are going to be managed by IS. From an administrative perspective, the main bulk of the work is creating and updating the program of study, and then managing late changes to the program of study that have happened after the APT has been created and planning node activated. And then other than that, there's going to be some basic administrative work, managing suspensions and plan changes. But that's pretty much it. So what you can basically see, okay, we've got the APT, everything else, but really the main work from an admin perspective for program enrollment is creating and maintaining the program of study records.